This program contains graphic violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
In Las Vegas, the city of lights, a group of teenage boys are involved in a deadly battle for power and control.
How come you never called the police?
I knew if I went and told somebody that that would be my demise right there.
These are boys that had a desire to be somebody. And unfortunately, that somebody was to be a gangster from the film Casino.
Casino, a Las Vegas mobster movie directed by Martin Scorsese.
The movie's glamorized the mob lifestyle, heavy drug use, gambling.
They call themselves the Crew. 6 friends who mix muscles, murder, and machismo. And their leader, a maniacal 18-year-old named Matt Baker.
Matt would watch the movie Casino over and over and over again.
When one member of the Crew decides he wants out, Matt turns to Casino as his bloody cinematic playbook.
He laid it all out. He didn't miss nothing.
You have an individual here who's built up in his mind this little empire, and he just wants to keep expanding it, and he wants to profit.
But Matt's empire comes at a cost.
What he did was ruthless, and it was evil, and it was just like the movie Casino brought to life.
In mobster movies, trust means everything. A creed Matt Baker lives by.
So you feel bad about your buddy?
Yeah.
How?
Miss him.
Do you?
We're good friends.
But when trust is broken, it's easy to disappear outside of Las Vegas. Like the movie Casino tells us, the desert is full of holes, just waiting to be filled. A lesson Las Vegas resident Jared Wayy will learn the hard way. Jared's friends and family are worried. The popular high school student has been missing for 12 days.
Jared Wayy is a 17-year-old young man. His star was definitely on the rise. He's a very, very brilliant young man, physically fit. He had a good life.
Jared's disappearance is alarming.
Jared was a very athletic, friendly, young teenager whose goal was to go to the military.
He didn't have no credit cards. He had no car. He had limited means.
But no one seems to know where he might be. Not even his best friend, Matt Baker.
I'm sure wherever he is, he's all right.
When Jared went missing, Matt went to his mother to try to console her and said that he would seek out whoever did this to Jared.
But sometimes what disappears in Vegas goes missing for a reason. A tale Detective Jeffrey Lamprey of the Boulder City Police Department knows all too well.
Jared should have saw it sooner, the warning signs, but Jared didn't see it. Everybody knew the secret but him.
Ever since Matt Baker moved to the Las Vegas Valley, his eyes have been glued to Sin City.
There's a lot to love about Las Vegas. It's going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a lot of glamour and power.
You have to imagine that Matt really must have loved being part of that Vegas atmosphere. It was there. He could see the lights. He can see it. He can hear it. And he could see it in movies.
In Las Vegas, Matt Baker is looking for a new start.
He was raised by his mother, who was a single mom, and she was always trying to get up on her feet. They moved around a lot.
It's not easy when you're trying to set up roots so you can have a sense of belonging in society. Matt just didn't have that.
Constantly on the move, Matt has a hard time making and keeping friends.
Matt, he was a kid who was trying to find his way in life. He wasn't a popular kid. He wasn't a really good student.
So when Matt meets fellow classmate Jared Wayy at his new high school, he's immediately drawn to Jared's outgoing personality.
You wanna play? Come on, everyone plays basketball, man.
Matt is very socially awkward and very, very shy. Jared took Matt under his wing, was helping him out because Matt needed a friend. And once Matt latched on to Jared, they became almost inseparable. They were very, very close friends, almost like brothers.
Two opposites attract. Jared's everything that Matt Baker wasn't. He had big, bright ambitions to go up. He came from some money, not wealthy, but I would say upper middle class. He was extremely popular with all the young ladies.
He also was directed after high school to go on to the military. And in many ways, Matt benefited from being around Jared because Jared, in many ways, was everything that Matt was not.
Because of Jared's friendship, Matt finally feels like he belongs, and he'll do whatever it takes to keep it that way.
Matt seemed like he would just say whatever he could to get people to follow his way.
Matt's personality emulates the characters in his favorite movie.
I figure a guy like you watching these movies, I can like to act out all the things in the movies. What movies? Soprano, Casino, stuff like that, right? Pretty much all the movies you watch.
Matt became obsessed with mobster movies, specifically Casino.
He absolutely loved that it took place in Las Vegas, his home. Casino was definitely a behind-the-scenes look at the Vegas that we glorified that was grittier, dirtier, potentially run by the mob.
Matt loves the idea of the mob, a family that sticks together no matter what.
For Matt, he did not seem like he had much of a family support. So in the movie Casino, there is the family, a group of men who all supported each other and protected each other.
Casino follows Sam Ace Rothstein, played by Robert De Niro, as he navigates the inner workings of Las Vegas.
Sam hobnobs with the kind of people that you would expect to live that lifestyle in Las Vegas. Movie stars, politicians, and he went on to marry this incredibly gorgeous woman, played by Sharon Stone.
Sam Rothstein is living the life Matt Baker only dreams of.
But gangster is something that people are fearful of. And also, a gangster gets a lot of attention. For Matt, whose mother wasn't present, whose father was non-existent, attention is extremely important.
Off-screen, Matt is motivated.
I think young men like gangster movies because they go against the rules.
What Matt saw in these gangster movies was a bunch of bad guys who found each other and it all became a family. And I think Matt felt like he could be part of a family like that.
Matt sets out to create his own mob family, just like in Casino.
He pulled in people who trusted him. He pulled in people who he thought were tough. They started to look like the mobsters that Matt emulated on in the movies.
Together, they call themselves the Crew. And like a real mob, they are each given their own nickname.
Down the street from Matt lived Shane Myers. He was into death metal. He was into hardcore violent movies. Shane Myers' nickname was Viking because he was a very large kid and he looked like a Viking.
Cody Myers is the adopted brother of Shane Myers. He is an absolute follower.
Did call him Plato because he was pliable and he would just go along with whatever anybody said.
Gerald Wilkes was a 18-year-old young man who came from another broken home. He was in Boy Scouts along with the Myers. Gerald Wilkes was the Incredible Hulk.
And then there's Shane Johnson.
Shane Johnson's nickname was Nazi Shane Johnson. He was a skinhead, and he had gotten into trouble and went through the juvenile justice system. It actually enhanced his street cred.
Like Sam Rothstein's gang in Casino, Matt's crew is a force to be reckoned with.
Individually, these were a bunch of guys who were basically uncool. Hanging out together, they found that they were a force.
But Matt isn't looking to just be a member of the crew. His goal is to be their leader.
Do you think he's smart or something? Or?
No. He thinks he is. He thinks he has everything planned out and everything working perfectly, but he's actually not very smart.
He wanted to sort of show off to the other guys that he could provide.
I need you to have the doors unlocked, ready for us to get in, okay? Jared, you're my lookout man, all right?
Matt created this concept of beer runs, which in reality was, as a group, they would enter into a liquor store and just grab beers and then run out without paying.
Stealing makes Matt feel more like a gangster. After the beer runs, they take their stolen alcohol and head to a place they call Drinking Hill.
The Drinking Hill is actually an aggregate pit that was used for construction, and they could have their bonfires and drink their stolen liquor and beer.
For Matt, it must have been very thrilling to know that previous to this, he had been friendless, socially awkward, and now he felt very powerful.
He can manipulate just about anybody in a means of speaking if they're not suspecting it.
Matt's beer runs are a success, but he knows the crew is capable of so much more.
Hey guys. They smoke pot, they're drinking beer. And so Matt comes to them and says, listen, I got this idea.
So basically, he sold marijuana, 3 or 4 ounces. You would get an ounce at a time. You sold quite a bit of marijuana.
You guys in? Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
The crew decided, hey, listen, let's be real about this, start making some money, let's be gangster.
Matt feels like the real-life Sam Rothstein from Casino, but behind the bright lights of Las Vegas is a Sin City just waiting to eat him alive.
These guys were best friends until one fatal mistake.
I know that Matt was planning to kill Jared
And how do you know this?
because I was a witness to it.
Las Vegas high school student Matt Baker has an obsession with the Hollywood blockbuster Casino.
Matt watched Casino over and over. There is a glamour to the power that is shown in Casino, and there's this loyalty that is tied to family, and all of those things just looked appealing to Matt.
The film is directed by the legendary Martin Scorsese, a visionary when it comes to Hollywood gangster movies.
Martin Scorsese is certainly one of the most prolific directors of all time. I think Casino falls right in line with some of his best work: Goodfellas, Gangs of New York, The Departed, and the list just goes on and on.
In Casino, Sam Rothstein runs the most popular establishment on the Vegas Strip.
Sam manages to make everything work at first because he has a crew of men who are working with him to make sure that everything gets pulled off exactly the way that the mob wants.
And after watching the film, Matt Baker and his crew want to be as powerful and rich as their movie idols.
Selling drugs to Matt changed his whole world because then he had control and he also had the money.
He would sell a couple of bags of dope. He'd make himself 50, 60, 70 bucks, 100 bucks, and that was his pocket money.
He sold quite a bit of marijuana, it sounded like. 280 bucks for what you'd pay. You'd make 500 and what?
Actually, I'd make just 280.
In a 17-year-old high schooler's head, he thought he was a mob boss. It was almost like he was becoming part of these movies.
Like Sam Rothstein, Matt is successful at first, but soon he craves more.
That's when they decided we need to make some real money.
And the same thing with the meth.
Matt Baker went from smoking marijuana to realizing we can make more money off of methamphetamine.
Matt was proud to run this family business. He wanted to run this. He wanted to engage in illegal activities. The only thing he wanted more of was more money and more power.
So Matt ups the ante.
So what they do is they'll buy a certain quantity of methamphetamine, let's just say a cup's worth. Now they're gonna make 2 cups worth out of that cup by putting an agent in it to make it larger. It's gonna reduce the potency, but they get more of it. That way they can make more money. That's what they started to do.
The crew is now a small-time drug enterprise, with Matt as the head of the operation.
The crew started to become less of a circle of friends and more of a hierarchy of friends. Matt was the leader of the crew.
For Matt, his ego and his self-perception, as well as his self-value, went way up because he saw himself now as directed to be like the gangsters in Casino.
Throughout Casino, Sam Rothstein is the best-dressed guy on the Vegas Strip.
Sam dressed like the coolest cat in the room. He had a very Miami almost vibe about him, and he was just collected, put together. He looked like the boss.
Matt copies his favorite movie.
Not only did Matt act the part of a mobster, he actually started to dress the part of the mobster. He went out, he bought suits, he bought nice clothing, things that he thought would make him look like the boss of a mob.
It became quite obvious that he was trying to mimic somebody. He wanted to be a godfather. He wanted to be the man. He loved the movie Casino. He was gonna make a fortune, like Scarface type of situation. And up the flagpole, his words, he would go.
I had good stuff. See, powdered stuff, if you crush it up, you can like triple the and make way more money.
Even Matt's personality takes a gangster makeover.
Matt was the leader of the group. He was the one in charge. He was no longer that shy, awkward teenager less than a year ago.
He had such an overpowering personality to these young men, they could not like him, regardless if he had money or not.
But in the world of gangsters, you have to watch your back. In Casino, Rothstein's men eventually turn on him in order to gain more power for themselves. And outside of the box office, Matt's empire takes a hit when his best friend, Jared Wayy, betrays the crew.
Jared was using what he was supposed to sell.
Jared always used to tell me that though, because he used to buy it. So the crystal's better because he smokes it.
And it incensed Matt, and he's like, hey, you gotta stop using it, you need to start selling it. And we know that that's when the divide happened, and the feud propagated from there.
I literally just watched something.
Instead of taking Matt's advice, Jared tells him he's done with drugs altogether.
Jared, at this point, has an epiphany, a life-growing lesson. Something changes in him and says, listen, I'm gonna be 18 in a couple of months. I'm done with this.
He wants to go into the Marines, and he realizes that if he's a drug user, he'll never get into the Marines.
I'm done. All right, I'm out.
Matt and Jared went their separate ways. Jared had already had other friends. This was not his only deal. He was distancing himself from the crew. He was literally weaning himself out of it.
But Matt isn't going to let Jared go that easily.
For Matt, he considered the group to be his family, a family that was very supportive, and he was the head of the family. And just like in the movie Casino, nobody leaves the family.
In Casino, Sam Rothstein relies heavily on trust to run his business.
There's a line in the film where they say all this stuff doesn't mean anything without trust. Anyone trying to distance themselves from the family or anyone labeled a rat is going to be met with violence and death.
So when Sam's best friend and right-hand man rats on the family, he has to die. In real life, Matt also sees red.
He was the leader of that pack, and he was not going to let anyone just leave, specifically a former best friend.
In the mobster movies, if someone leaves the family, they only do it one way. And so Matt started to believe that if Jared was going to leave the family, the only way he could leave the family was by being killed.
Although it seems extreme, Matt is willing to do whatever it takes to protect his new empire.
I know that Matt did want to get rid of Jared.
Matt who?
Baker.
Why?
Because he was interfering with some of Matt's plans.
Specifically?
Drug dealing.
So Matt comes up with a plan to off Jared.
Matt had read in a newspaper article about these waiters who, in order to deal with rude customers, they would take a couple drops of Visine and put it in the customer's drink. What would happen is that night, the customer would go home and become violently sick.
If a few drops make you sick, 3 bottles should be close to fatal.
Matt was hoping by poisoning Jared, he would show the rest of the guys that they can't leave the family.
All right, guys, I know Jared hasn't been here in a while, so I say we make this one for him.
Jared went home that night, and he started getting really sick. He was on the verge of death.
Matt wanted to be a gangster. Matt wanted to be a tough guy. Matt wanted to kill.
"17-year-old Matt Baker is hell-bent on becoming the most powerful and wealthy mobster in Las Vegas.
He started out dealing marijuana, he moved up to meth, and just like the movie Casino, he now had a group of friends working for him, and he called his group The Crew.
In Matt's favorite movie, Casino, Robert De Niro's character, Sam Rothstein, trusts his gangster family to always be loyal. So when his best friend and sidekick, Nicky Santoro, betrays him, Sam shows no mercy.
When Nicky begins to scam the operation, that is the turning point for his character, in which his death is almost certain.
Matt attempts to copy Sam Rothstein by poisoning his best friend, Jared Wayy, after Jared says he's dropping out of the crew.
Matt Baker was incensed that Jared leave the organization, the crew. So Matt, being a big casino guy, thinking that he's the head of this family, no one's allowed to leave the family.
Matt poisons Jared with eye drops, leaving Jared violently ill and fighting for his life.
For Matt, he had become obsessed with killing Jared. Nothing else seemed more important.
But just when Matt thinks he's committed a perfect copycat crime, Jared returns to school.
Matt was absolutely shocked. He was convinced that this guy was on his deathbed, if not dead at this point. It is very tragic that Jared trusted Matt and didn't suspect anything. These are the guys that you want to have your back, and the whole time this guy's plotting to kill him.
The failed murder leaves Matt at an impasse.
Every day that Jared is alive, he fears that Jared is going to start talking about their drug dealing, and once the cops find out, his whole empire is going to implode. Matt starts to convince the other guys in the crew that if Jared's alive, they could all end up in jail.
The only way to protect himself is to silence Jared once and for all. So he turns to his favorite movie for advice.
Joe Pesci has a famous line from the movie, "There are a lot of holes in the desert, and lots of problems are buried in those holes."
Inspired by Casino, Matt decides to kill Jared and bury his body in the desert. But first, he'll have to convince the crew to go along with his plan.
Matt Baker brought the idea up of killing Jared at the Drinking Hill with Shane Myers and Shane Johnson.
Well, Matt had the plan to begin with. He said that, we're, like, at first he was like, we're planning to take somebody out. I think it was for, because he had smoked his product, because he was a moron or something. They said that he was stupid and was just stuff up.
Are we talking about Jared?
Yeah, he was talking about Jared.
What did he do to make you guys participate?
Me being a stupid kid who wanted to follow and have friends, I followed along with it. And then Cody had just wanted to come too.
Why the crew went along with this was blind loyalty. It's the idea that the group is controlling everyone's movements. And because of the pressure of the group, everyone goes along with it.
It was by one charismatic leader, Matt Baker, and his influence over the group that led to this pack mentality.
With the crew on board, all Matt needs is to lure Jared out of his house. Soon after, he puts his deadly plan into action.
How'd you guys pick Jared up from his house?
We drove up and Matt had thrown a rock at his window and he came downstairs. We had told him that we were going off-roading in the middle of the night.
The crew drives Jared to the desert outside of Las Vegas.
He was led to believe it was just another party. We're just going out in the middle of nowhere, build a bonfire, we're all just gonna do what we do best, drink.
Just like in the beginning of the movie Casino, where Joe Pesci talks about having to dig holes ahead of time, they went out there and dug multiple weekends. And they end up creating a hole that was about 6 feet wide, 6 feet long, and about 8 feet deep.
Matt's idea for pre-digging holes, I gotta imagine, comes from Casino.
We had started to drink and we were taking shots of tequila, and I hate tequila. I'd had a problem with it from the beginning just because I can't stand like looking at somebody in the face, smiling to them, and then having it in for them, because I think that's just bullshit.
This was a very tense moment. These guys know what's about to go down, and Jared has no idea.
Jared thinks he's amongst friends.
Pretty scared?
Yeah.
On the scared meter, 1 to 10.
It was like a 12. Like it was the most scared I've ever been in my life.
In the desert outside Las Vegas, Nevada, Matt Baker has a plan to kill, like in his favorite movie, Casino.
Matt is dead set on killing his former best friend, Jared, just like in the movie Casino. And once they've killed him, they plan to bury him in a hole out in the desert.
The film makes it seem like it's very easy to murder people and get away with it because the desert was so vast that there are so many different holes that you'll never be found.
Copying the movie, Matt lures Jared into the desert for a night of partying. The crew vows to make it his last.
I had stun gunned Jared in the chest, but it didn't work because he had a sweater on and it had like some of that plastic stuff, so it didn't even do anything.
What were you guys doing that whole time?
He was like, well, why'd you do that? And I was like, I don't know, I just wanted to show you my stun gun. And then Myers hit him in the back of the head with the tire iron. It's like the most disturbing sound you'll ever hear.
But Jared is still alive.
She holds his head. Okay, guys, I know what you're gonna do to me. The light comes on then. Let me out of here. They mob up on him, stomp him down. He's getting up, trying to run away, fighting for his life.
Matt, please, come on.
While Jared pleads for his life, Matt takes more inspiration from Casino.
Cody, don't. Matt, seriously, stop, Matt.
Matt Baker orders Cody to retrieve the shotgun.
Matt, seriously, stop, Matt. You don't have to do this.
Matt remembers a line from Robert De Niro's character in Casino that said, if you don't do it yourself, it'll never get done. So Matt decides he needs to kill Jared himself.
Shane! Why?
It must have been horrifying for Jared at that point that he's begging for his life and he knows Matt wants to kill him, but he's begging to his other friends too, and they're not doing anything.
You don't have to do this. Come on, let's go home.
I remember him saying, I know what's gonna happen if you guys just take me home, and then bam. And it wasn't really loud like I had thought it was gonna be, but he had shot him in the chest right here. And then he started screaming, and I saw that, and it almost had made me sick to my stomach. And then Jared had fallen over to the left. And then he had shot him in the head, I think right here. And he was laying there.
There was no humanity. That night, none existed. The inhumanity those young men showed him is just, it's unbelievable.
So he knew he was going to get killed?
I believe so, right at the end of there.
With Jared dead, Matt feels he's finally become the real-life king of Las Vegas, Sam Rothstein.
For Matt taking that first shot, for him and for everyone else in the group, is the realization that he is truly a gangster. And unfortunately, it probably was a very empowering moment.
But that's when everything begins to fall apart.
Where's the hole? You guys standing around for? Go get the shovels.
Fine, where do we dig it?
It's not there. We can't find it.
I don't know where it is. Desert, man. What's the hole? I didn't see it.
Well, they start looking around for the hole. They can't find the hole. They've been out here several weekends digging this hole. This is where the hole is supposed to be.
How do you guys not know where it is?
I don't remember where I put it.
All right, well, dig another one. We don't have
marked it.
They could not find it. They were absolutely 100% sheer panic, terror.
We don't have time for this.
Like right here?
Doesn't matter. It's
Are
a
we
desert,
just gonna
like you
dump
said.
the
Body in there?
Why didn't we mark the other
Man,
one?
what is it?
So then the decision was to can't find a grave.
Yeah, Matt was like, oh, well, we'll just dig one right here.
Just go get a shovel. Go get it done now.
I was freaking out.
Well, what are you standing around for? Come on! Chill. Faster. We're on time.
Let's ground.
It was kind of soft the first inch, and then it got hard, and then it seemed different than the last time we had dug it, just because so much adrenaline was going through your body, you didn't know what the hell was going on.
While the crew digs a second hole, Matt prepares Jared's burial.
Matt Baker was taking the clothes off of the decedent to burn them, get rid of the evidence.
In Casino, Joe Pesci's character is also stripped of his clothes after being killed.
Matt was the one who was mostly doing everything. I remember that when he had stripped him naked, he said something to the effect of, for all the bragging he does about his size, it was sure not well deserved, or something like that. Trying to make humor, and it wasn't funny.
After he strips the body, Matt knocks out Jared's teeth so no one can identify him.
Because I guess his jaw had locked shut, he cut it out right here, up and around, and had taken it with pliers or something.
Then Matt dumps Jared in a trash bag and pours water over him to help decompose the body.
It was extremely detailed, the way they did the body prep. It was incredible.
About 30 minutes later, the new shallow hole is finally finished, and Jared is tossed inside, like Joe Pesci's character in Casino.
They put dirt on him, and then they poured tequila over the ground to try to soften it down, and they ran it over a few times with the Jeep to try to flatten it out.
After they bury Jared, Matt burns his clothes and wallet and throws Jared's teeth into the desert night. The crew then flees the scene.
How did it make you feel when all this was going on?
I was freaking out, and I wish it wasn't happening, and I was like trying to close my eyes and wake up from a bad dream. But I didn't wake up from a bad dream.
Matt gave his bon voyage speak to everybody. If you speak of this, I will kill you.
Back at home, Matt feels larger than life.
I don't think Matt thought he was going to get caught. I think Matt had convinced himself that he was a real-life mobster, and just like in the movie Casino, in the end, it's going to work out for him.
But like they say in Casino, there are a lot of holes in the desert. Who knows who's gonna come along? Matt Baker killed his best friend and former employee, Jared Wayy, in an act of violent revenge.
Matt thought by killing Jared would end all his problems, but actually all it did was create more.
Just 12 days after his murder, his body is found in the Vegas desert.
The body was found by a 7- or 8-year-old child, and he come across this little stinky mound, his words. His dad happened to be an off-duty firefighter paramedic. He immediately knew what he was looking at, hustled his child away and called 911.
The police label the body a John Doe and immediately begin searching for his identity. Back at home, Matt is paranoid. Like the characters in his favorite movie, Casino, he has no idea who he can trust.
Previous, Matt had only feared Jared. But now, after Jared's murder, he feared the rest of the group would turn on him.
Matt wonders who he'll have to kill next.
In order to not get caught, Matt starts coming up with other plans to kill more people.
First, he pays a visit to Jared's mom. He wants to destroy any ties to the crew Jared might have left behind in his bedroom.
He goes over there pretending that he's concerned for her and the family, and he's very upset. Matt kept asking Jared's mother if he can go onto Jared's computer to look for any information that could help, and his mother said no.
She could tell he was there for something else.
Around town, Matt's paranoia continues to fester. While at the police station, authorities finally get their big break. The body found in the desert seems to match the description of a missing teenager, Jared Wayy.
We're called over to get DNA that night. They get the DNA, they run it, we get a hit, it's him.
Now police begin to question those closest to Jared.
We went and grabbed up Shane Johnson, and he started confessing.
Shane takes police to the scene and walks them through the crime.
How come you never call the police? Because I was afraid that Matt might come after me or something like that, because seeing what Matt was capable of, it freaked me out.
Right about there, and then
I knew if I went and told somebody that would be my demise right there. I didn't really want to go the same way that he had gone, and I wish he had never gone at all.
Matt and the members of his crew involved in Jared's murder are immediately arrested. In Casino, Sam Rothstein is the only member of his crew that avoids death and evades the police.
It did seem as though Sam might be untouchable. It was Nikki who was responsible for all of the fallout that took place. And so, Sam gets to live, and he gets another shot.
But in reality, Matt Baker isn't as lucky.
Baker was sentenced 35 to life. Shane Myers, I believe he got 30 to life. Shane Johnson, 20 to life. Cody got 5 years.
For Jared's family, it's a bittersweet ending.
I have a dead 17-year-old that'll never be 18 and never father a child and never get married and never be a grandfather. It just should never happen. It's just a damn shame. It's affected me for the last 15 years.
In Vegas, they say, don't bet against the house.
why?
Matt wanted to be just like Robert De Niro in the movie Casino, but he gambled and he lost.
When I think of Matt, and I think of how the movie Casino affected Matt's thinking, he just was extremely limited in his scope. That movie became everything to him.